Sony games are dead to Thor. Pirate Software Clips by Daily Dose of Thor, FanMade.
Yeah, this is pretty jacked. So like more people are talking about the Helldivers 2 thing. Who said, hey, not enough people are talking about this. I can't play with friends who can't buy the game anymore, so I don't have a reason to keep the game, yet I can't refund it either because I surpassed 2 hours of playtime. This feels really scummy.
That really feels like that's entrapment. Like that traps people into an unwinnable situation. And in my opinion, like, I mean, we're still talking about this how many weeks, how many months later, right? Sony did a big boo-boo for all intents and purposes, right? If you're going to make an account mandatory, do it up front, okay? Yes, I know we had the thing saying, oh, a PS account will be, you know, at some point, but why would I even be allowed to skip it at that point, right? Just launch it with it, and if you launch it with it and don't retroactively change your terms of service, suddenly we're in a situation, right? We're in a situation where it's like, well, this was known from the start, but the problem is it wasn't known from the start, and that's an issue to me.
Yep. A whole bunch of people bought it in those regions before the lock went into place, and now they can't buy it anymore, and their friends can't buy it either, so now they're just locked into playing with nobody.
Look how many regions there are, okay? Genuinely, look at me, tell me this isn't a problem. That is a huge problem. This is why I haven't picked up Helldivers. Like, don't get me wrong, there's streamers that I know, there's people that I know, right, that still play Helldivers. I'm not going to say they can't do it, right? I'm not that kind of person. If you want to do it, that's fine, right? If you want to eat at McDonald's, you want to eat at Wendy's, I don't care, right? I make fun of Wendy's because of the surge pricing thing, but, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what you can and can't do. For me, I cannot okay a company that does this, but I'm also on the Xbox side. I'm on Nintendo. I have a PC. I have a PS3. That's the closest PlayStation that I have, right? I've never been a Sony fan. That's my thing, right? I've always wanted to play Halo and stuff more than whatever Sony had, right? I could get Dead Space 2 on my Xbox. I could get Dead Space on my Xbox. Sure, there were Sony exclusives, right? Final Fantasy 14 or OG, the original, was on PlayStation, PS3. But I mean, I don't know. This doesn't sell me the company. At the end of the day, sell me some product, right? Why should I buy a PS5? Oh, cool, Demon's Souls remake. That seems cool. What else? That's really all the games that I feel I'd be interested in. Like anything else? Bloodborne, I can get a PS4 for that. You're failing to sell me a product by having a recurring issue because of cybersecurity issues you had once upon a time that have now compounded into today's issues, right? Do you know why having a PSN is illegal or restricted in so many countries and territories? Because of that big PSN hack, right? The big one. Companies said, no, sorry, not companies. Countries said, no, that can't happen, right? And we still have Sony still having cybersecurity issues to this day. This is a problem to me.
Really. And this is why I'm not playing anything that Sony has published ever again. That's kind of how that goes.
Fair.
Yeah, I responded to them with this. Because it's trash behavior from a publisher. Absolutely trash. Absolutely trash behavior. It's crazy. It's completely unbelievable situation. It's, man, I hate money. Sony.
Yeah.
Right? Like, completely wild to watch. No, it's not racist. It's just dumb business. It's racist. It's not like they're stopping you from buying the game based on the color of your skin. Like, no, they put it into certain regions, which is 2/3 of the world, and then said, I don't want your money because you don't have PSN available there. I actually don't know the overlap of where Xbox Live is available versus where PSN is available. I don't have a map for that.
I would be very curious to the map of that. I would be curious on the overlap of countries that it is not available in regards to the PlayStation's version of that. I'd be very interested to see that map.
I have no idea. Like, I'm going to be real with you. Just play shit on PC. Just play shit on PC. Like, I know that's awful because a lot of regions, PC is way more expensive than buying a console for a lot of people around the world. But the freedom of having a PC is so much better. Consoles are starting to turn into these tiny little walled gardens of just dog behavior. It sucks. It's really yeah, the advent of things like Steam Deck is starting to fix this problem. It's sad. It's really sad, actually. There's a couple of problems with, like, PC, too, is, like, in certain regions, PC is just too expensive, and also PC is too large for a lot of people.
I know that was, what was it? That was allegedly a Japanese thing, because big PCs, small apartments, living spaces, right? And that being said, like, if you live in a studio, can you necessarily, one, afford, or two, have space for a full-size tower? 4080, 4090? Probably not. I think from an investment standpoint, look, if you're just looking at playing like the yearly Call of Duty, right? Which coincidentally almost fits the hard drive of a console when you think about it at this point, right? If you're wanting to play yearly Call of Duty, or if you're wanting to, just play Halo, right? There's nothing wrong with owning an Xbox. There's nothing wrong with getting an Xbox. However, you are foregoing some features. And it really comes down to a cost-benefit analysis, right? Do you want to invest more to potentially have more freedom later? And absolutely, chat, you're absolutely right. PC companies suck too. There's a lot of them that absolutely can suck, right? We have, who is it? They did the Linus Tech Tips bit. They broke that news. I can't remember their name offhand. It's escaping me right now, right? But they still do views on like, oh, well, Asus did this, or MSI did this, or Intel did this, right? And they review parts of it. PC has issues as well. I'm not saying it doesn't, right? Consoles are just tiny PCs that are focused on something specifically, right? What's the difference between an N64 and a PC, right? Well, I mean, the N64 is a tiny computer, which you have to... I'm actually looking at my N64 to actually look at the shape, to actually put the RAM expansion in order to play certain games like Majora's Mask, and they take certain things, whether that be disc or in this case 64, an N64 cartridge, right? With a PC, I mean, Gamers Nexus, thank you for that. Thank you for the citation. As with PC, that gets different, especially if you can dump the file into an emulator, right? You have a little bit more freedom to do that, right? Like obviously having a legal physical copy and then dumping it to play on an emulator, right? As the process would demand. So, PC, definitely expensive, definitely more expensive, a little bit more involved depending on what you want to do. Space could definitely be an issue. Heat can be an issue. Airflow, such as laptops like my gaming laptop, right? I need to get one of those fans under it just because it has like a 3080, I think, in it, and it gets hot. It really does. These are valid concerns, absolutely. I think that a lot of people feel vilified for having a console, and I just wanted to kind of dispel, if you have a console, that's fine. Don't feel like you're any less of a gamer. Don't feel like, you're this villain. You're not. As it turns out, you can have a console because you don't game as hard as other people, or you don't want a PC, and you're perfectly fine with your console. That's the viewpoint there. But in terms of like actually, if you want to actually game, right? If you want the most, right? And, not have that walled garden effect, right? PC is, I would argue, the way to go. I think that is objectively the best option if you're wanting to get the most out of your games and experience. Because we have things like, Nexus mods, right? Fallout New Vegas mods, right? Tale 2 Wastelands, right? Can't get that on a console, right? But even then, on PC, if you have Fallout New Vegas on Epic, you can't even mod the game. So, once again, kind of a moot point. And Steam, I would argue, offers one of the best services out there.
Laptops really help with that. They do. A lot of laptops are cheaper. And then things like the Steam Deck really help with that because it's smaller, but they're more expensive. A PlayStation or an Xbox can be seen as being a better choice for a lot of people around the world based on size and cost. But it's turning into these weird little walled gardens for games that just don't make any damn sense. It's really bad. Like, I'm going to be real. I don't think restricting any players is a good idea. I think that all that is awful. I don't care if it's PlayStation or Microsoft or anybody. It's complete not a fan.
I was so happy for a while because everything was getting crossplay for a little while, and then they reneged on it, and I hate it. I hate it as much as hearing that allegedly Dead Space Remake didn't sell enough. So once again, EA is dropping Dead Space or putting it on ice, and I'm just it's depressing. I have seen Dead Space die more times than I care to admit, dude. It's such a good franchise. I love it. It's great. It was on both Xbox and PlayStation. Can you imagine a Dead Space 2 multiplayer style game in modernity that actually functions? And it's crossplay? So you can crossplay with PC and PlayStation and Xbox. Maybe not Switch, because Switch has issues with, functioning. As somebody that has a Switch. The day that I bought my Switch OLED to stream Tears of the Kingdom, my Switch, orange screened. The new out-of-the-box Switch. We're just going to put it that way. Bro, this is turning into a Dead Space rant. Now I'm sad. Now I'm depressed. But no, I think that he's right. I think that he's absolutely on base here.
As corporations for you, though, in 2024, that's not true, though. It's not a corporate thing. Here's the reason why. If I have a corporation, which I do, by the way, CEO Thor is real now. If you own a corp, the point of a lot of corporations is to make more money. You want to make more sales, right? Infinite line go up for the grand majority of business out there because they have a fantasy where that somehow is sustainable. Now,
Right.
here's the problem. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. You know what makes less sense? Restricting your purchases in 3/4 of the world. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you reduce your total potential profit by 75% of overall sales? Sony moment. That shit doesn't make any sense.
That has to do with legal in some capacity. Like, that has to do with legal and their past actions, especially with PSN hacks, and that has to do with regions they're allowed to do businesses in. And then you argue, well, I mean, they shouldn't have done it in the first place. Correct. Sony intervening in Helldivers effectively killed the game, in my opinion. And if you enjoy the game still, that's totally on you. Like, you're allowed to enjoy the game. It's these reasons and reasons that, people's purchases got, affected post-sale in other countries that I don't care about. And it's not like, 1 or 2 or 7, right? A lot of countries have this effect. That's a problem. And to me, them as a business, as Sony, this sets precedent for them going forward. Not legal precedent, because that's a little different, right? But this sets precedent to they're going to do something going forward. I'm not going to like it. So I cut my losses here and now.
This is why it doesn't make sense. This is why it's not like end stage capitalism. It's bad business. It's stupid. It's actually stupid. Taxes? No. Dude, that's not how tax cuts work, man. You use money on business expenses so that you don't pay taxes on that money. You don't make money by spending money that way. That's not how that works. No. You don't, it's not a tax write-off to make less money. It's a tax write-off to spend money on the business. It's like when people say, like, oh yeah, they're making so much money because they're donating to charity. Like, no, dude, you still lose the money. It's gone. You just don't pay taxes on it. It's like you never made it in the first place. It's not because there's maintenance costs to these countries. Likely true. Now, here's the problem. Why would you take a game that is selling globally and then restrict its sale only to regions that allow PSN when PSN wasn't required for it to work in the first place?
That's the one. He said it. He said it. Ding, 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 ding. When it wasn't required to work in the first place. Remember what I said? I said in this video, and I've said in other videos, about if they required this up front versus shoehorning this in later. You see where the issue is, and then I'm getting validated that, hey, maybe Kip kind of knows what he's talking about. Not as much as Thor, right? He's lovely. He knows what he's talking about, right? I feel validated in some capacity because he's saying the same things that I've been saying. But people look at me and I'm just hating Sony. I'm just hating, PSN, hating PlayStation players. No, that's not what I've said. No, that's not how that works.
You need to raise numbers on PSN, and you think the cost of the damage to your brand and the cost of lost sales is worth less than the potential gain of new PSN users, because of an arbitrary data metric that you need internally to prove your value as an executive.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Yeah, dumb. Exactly. 100%. I'm with them on that. It's dumb. It shouldn't have happened. If they wanted it, it should have been required from launch. Not, oh, well, one day it'll be required. No, require it from launch. Do not retroactively change your terms of service to have different things in them. I did not legally agree to that, okay? If you're going to do that, I need to figure out who I need to talk to pressure you as a company, as a business, into getting that legal documentation. And your lawyer is going to sit there, right? And they're going to they're going to hold my hand, and they're going to walk me through all that paperwork. And that's going to be on your dime, okay? I don't know. I don't know if that's how that works or not. I'm really sick of companies changing TOS, like after point of sale, or bricking your hardware or purchase after point of sale. So that's a little stressor of mine. So interesting video. I love Thor. Definitely go check out Thor, as well as Daily Dose of Thor fan-made account. In the description down below, I will have linked both links, right? One link to Daily Dose of Thor, and the other to Thor himself. Excellent individual. And, yeah, I mean, the Helldivers situation is still ongoing. I know people are tired of it. I know people want it to be over and done with, but there's people that whose purchases are still affected by really stupid business decisions by Sony. So, just consider that, especially if Sony is thinking about doing similar, or, oh, well, maybe we might have a PSN integration with this game at some point, right? Just remember the precedent this is set from Sony. So, thank you, everybody. See you in the next one.